What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to episode 377 of the Hoots Podcast. Hope each and every single one of you are having a wonderful evening here. It is September 7, 2023. We are 23 episodes away from reaching episode 400 of the Hoots Podcast. If you're watching this right now, please do us a quick favor and like this video. Subscribe to our channel as we're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. And if you have any questions in the world of professional wrestling, life, sports, or anything that's on your mind, we cover it all here on the Hoots Podcast. This is your back porch environment, but in an audio platform. And we're here to have some fun tonight and a lot to discuss. It doesn't matter what time of the year. It doesn't matter. The NFL's back. As I'm recording this, the Chiefs and the Lions are playing right now. The Lions just scored a touchdown. As I'm recording this, the NFL's back. But even then, it doesn't matter if the NFL's back. The world of professional wrestling never stops. And there's a lot to discuss tonight. And we'll do that as the show goes on. But again, for those who take the time to watch this video live tonight, I appreciate each and every single one of you. Like I said, if you could do me that favor, subscribe to the channel. And if you're watching the show, let us know what's on your mind. What do you want to talk about? As Cody Rhodes would say, ask me any questions that you want during the show, and I'll try to answer it to the best of my ability. And I have a couple questions for you guys, for those who are watching this and in the audio version. Don't forget, you get the Hoots Podcast in a bevy of different platforms on audio and video. But on audio, you can also get it on Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, some new places now, like Amazon Music, Pandora, or and then let's see, iHeartRadio, Audacity, no, is it Audacity or Odyssey? My bad, the Odyssey app. That's also, you can check out the Hoots Podcast. Go in your Google search engine, type in the Hoots Podcast, and you'll find what you need to find. And this show comes to you free of charge every single Thursday, anywhere you get your podcasts from. So, lots to discuss today. Obviously, we'll get into what happened at the United Center for All Out as we do What the Hell is Wrong with AEW. I know the Chiefs and Lions are playing right now as I'm recording this, so I will give my thoughts on what to expect for the 2023 football season towards the end of the show tonight. And I'm just here to have some fun tonight. We're going to answer questions. We'll address the elephant in the room about CM Punk getting fired by AEW. Coming off the heels of last week's What the Hell's Wrong with AEW, where I wasn't getting emotional. I was almost getting there. I was expressing my frustration with the entire situation. And here we are a week later, and the guy got fired. He got kicked out of the company. So, of course, you're going to hear my thoughts on that whole situation. Could he go to WWE? That's the question I want to pose to you guys. Would you want him to go to WWE? Let me know here in the video in the comment section, or hit me up at Twitter at the Hoots Podcast over the weekend. I'd love to get you guys' thoughts. So, a lot to discuss. Let's not waste any more time. Let's start off this podcast as we usually do with the back porch Q&A session. But before we do that, for those who are watching, I want to play a little video here and a little help situation for my sister who texted me earlier today. She's been a little frustrated and sad just due to the situation with her dog Bobo, who's a beautiful dog. I got a chance to meet a couple times. She lives out in California, so I don't get to see her all the time. But Bobo's a very special dog to her, and he's dealing with some slight medical issues, and it's getting bad, and he needs to get surgery, and they're struggling to have the means to make that a reality and get that surgery done. So I'm gonna play this, and I'll let you know what information you can to donate. But let me play a little bit of the video that she sent me earlier. Let's play this. All right. Yeah, it's a spleen issue, and the notes are not easy, no matter if you're a dog or not. But um, if anybody's willing and has the means to donate, help out in any way, I shared the link to this in the chat box here on the show. Let me pull this up here. You can find the direct link in the chat box if you're watching it live on YouTube. But also, if you're somebody that likes using like scanning QR codes, you could do this as well. So anything would help. Be deeply appreciated to help my sister out and Candace. Their their uh, their dog Bobo's dealing with some deep medical issues. So any contributions to help out with my sister and her girlfriend would really mean a lot to me. And I thank you all. Even if you could share the link or whatever, it would really help out. It mean a lot. So I just wanted to help out at least in my way to hand. I have a platform here. Money's tight these days, so I wanted to help out in the best way I can here. So if you guys can help out my sister and Bobo, it mean a lot from the Good Brothers. So let's start off with the back porch Q&A session here. As we usually do, we start off with the good brother Chris Zaletta at XSceneZaletta24X on Twitter. He says, "What a boost! Here's some questions for the Q&A this week. Better show to you, All In or All Out?" I'm gonna go with All Out. I get it. The spectacle nature of what All In was at Wembley Stadium is something that can't be taken away from AEW. But from a content point of view and just the overall pay-per-view standpoint, I feel like All Out was far in many layers and levels better than All In. I just thought the flow of the show was better. I felt like more things progressed in a lot of ways in All Out than it was for All In. This is gonna be an interesting test theory to see over the next coming years. Where, yeah, we're gonna do the stadium show in London, and then the following week we'll be at the United Center. I don't know how long this thing is gonna last. it's an interesting thing that Tony Khan wants to keep those traditions, but it's asking a lot for your audience to pay $50 plus dollars every week for two pay-per-views towards the Labor Day weekend. And even with all those circumstances, given everything that went on with CM Punk the day before, I just thought that All Out was a really good showing, and a showing that I think AEW needed to keep people's interest going towards the fall. I know that Collision is going to take a lot of hits, and just due to the nature of it being on Saturday nights and then college football starting and all that shit. But even for someone like myself, who's more critical than AEW than most people who have platforms like this, I give credit where credit's due. I thought the show was just really good from top to bottom, and it's just one of those shows that you need. And I felt like there's just more progression and reasons to continue watching the shows on this show than it was at the stadium show the week prior. So that'd be my answer to that question. Let me go to the next one here. Tiffany or Becky Lynch this Tuesday? That's a good question. I don't know, Chris. It's up in the air. I'm in a position where I feel like either way could work. Maybe Becky has the chance to finally capture her first NXT Women's Championship. I think that'd be cool. It would be obviously a big notch on Tiffany Stratton's resume if she could defeat Becky Lynch straight up like that. But I think this is a good thing not only for Becky to go back to her old stomping grounds, but it's also good for Tiffany Stratton to mix elbows and, have that experience with Becky in the ring. And thirdly, and most importantly, it's a good thing for the NXT television brand. And I'll talk a little bit more about NXT when we do this week at WWE. Next question. Do you think Jimmy is going to try to get Solo away from Roman? Yeah, probably. Right now with the Bloodline, we don't necessarily know where things are going to go when it comes to Jimmy, Solo, and Roman. Obviously, Jay, thanks to Cody Rhodes, got moved to Monday Night Raw now. And this past Friday on SmackDown, we saw Jimmy, help Solo Sikoa beat AJ Styles. We don't know where things stand with Jimmy and Roman. Who knows the next time we're going to see the Tribal Chief on our TV. This could go in a lot of different directions because Jimmy at one moment says he wants nothing to do with Roman Reigns because he's an asshole. And then the next second, he's, I don't know, I feel like he's trying to play a little bit of mind games with Paul Heyman and Solo. Is this a scenario where Jimmy fights Solo at Fastlane? It's up in the air because we really don't know. And that's the intriguing thing. We don't have to know. I don't have all the answers to what's going on with the Bloodline. And I think that's kind of a good thing because I think in some essence, like, even when Sami Zayn was there, I think a lot of people could kind of forecast where things were going. And, I wasn't saying it was predictable that we would got a Roman and Sami match. What I'm saying is you could have seen the direction that was going. And when it comes now with the fact that Jimmy turned on Jay, there's so much questions up in the air to the point where people are like, oh, as the Bloodline ran its course, or this jump the shark narrative. I feel like with the Bloodline, we have more reasons to watch the show now because they're not getting featured as much as it was going into SummerSlam. We don't have the answers to every single feud. Things are up in the air, and I feel like that's the good thing. We don't have to know every single reason behind the storyline for one particular episode of SmackDown in this essence. Like, this is why we have episodic TV. So one moment Jimmy Uso could fight Solo at Fastlane. The next moment Jimmy could be back with the Bloodline officially. We don't know. We got to hear more with Jimmy and Paul Heyman as the weeks go by. But I feel, from my point of view, to answer your question here, Chris, I think Jimmy could try in a way to get Solo away from Roman because there's still some underlying tension between these two with Roman and Solo that hasn't been addressed just due to the nature of the fact that Roman is not on these shows. So, um, that's why we watch. That's why we watch the shows. So let's see what happens. um, Next question. MJF and Samoa Joe next. Yeah, I think that's pretty much the writing on the wall. I'll talk about that a little later on. Who wins the NXT Global Heritage Invitational? Great question there, Chris. Um, for me, it's a toss up between Tyler Bate and Nathan Frazier. In my opinion, I could see a scenario where maybe Butch gets involved and wins it, but I think Tyler Bate and either him or Nathan Frazier, my best guess to win that tournament. And I guess I should talk about this now. I'm so glad that NXT is taking a chance on this G1 style tournament on their TV shows. NXT, out of all the major shows from WWE, really, I guess you could say, maps out the show where you could have these longer matches on television, and it works. I never bought into the notion that you can't do a G1 show, a G1 style tournament on a televised based wrestling show. You got to have the right people in it, obviously, but also you need to get the time and space for those matches to happen. So I'm glad that they're doing this. I'm glad that Shawn Michaels is trying to do everything he can to make the Heritage Cup title mean something in NXT, since the fact that we don't have NXT UK anymore, which is a crock of shit because I miss NXT UK and that's my favorite show. But I'm glad that they're keeping this title alive, that Noam Dar is still getting TV time and the opportunities. Same thing with Nathan Frazier and all these other former NXT UK guys and girls who now are on the NXT roster down in Winter Park, Florida. So all in all, I think it's good news, and I'm happy. I'm really happy for the crew down there for NXT that they're pumping out. Sorry about that. Oh, hey there. What I was saying, I'm just happy for that crew because they're putting on some good shows, and people should not be sleeping on NXT. That's all I'm gonna say. All right. I want to give a shout out to my boy Sam Piopa for sharing the show on Facebook. I appreciate you, Oos. All right, let's get to the next question. More likely, Punk and Impact or Punk WWE return? I will answer that question in this week in WWE. 5 or more coaches will be fired after this NFL season. The annual question that I get every single year from Chris, the estimate of number of coaches fired in the NFL. A tradition unlike any other, as Jim Nantz would say. Oh man, I love that question. That's hilarious. Chris, I think you answered your own question. Of course, there's gonna be more than five coaches fired. That's the way the circus goes, man. I don't like seeing people lose their jobs, but the NFL is probably one of the most fickle business to be part of. Nothing in that league is linear, and it just pops me every year. I get that question: 5 or more coaches fired. Hell, we haven't even finished the whole game yet, and we're firing people. All right. 2 more questions here from Chris. He says Kevin Kelly gave a small update recently on his time left with New Japan. Does he remain around wrestling after New Japan Pro Wrestling? That's a good question. I haven't ever really had a chance to talk about this, so I'm glad you asked this, Chris. This is the great thing about the Back Porch Q&A session. We can have this time to talk about things that I probably wouldn't have enough time to fit into the other segments. Here's the deal, man. Kevin Kelly has played a big role for me when it comes to not only my enjoyment and investment in New Japan Pro Wrestling, but also just helping me out from a transcription point of view. And really, I make no bones about it. The outlines and the way that I go about transcribing and describing these matches are rooted in what Kevin Kelly does in that style of New Japan commentary, in English commentary. And I kind of felt like this maybe was going to become a reality when I found out that Kevin Kelly was joining AEW to be the Collision play-by-play guy. And look, Kevin Kelly's not old. He is experienced. He is a veteran. He also runs a wrestling promotion in Pennsylvania, and he's very busy with that. And he's putting in a lot of time into New Japan Pro Wrestling, almost a decade, exclusively to New Japan. Obviously, he's done a lot of these ROH and New Japan shows over the years, and I make no bones about it. Kevin Kelly still currently is the best play-by-play commentator in professional wrestling, and I don't believe that he's done once his time with New Japan's over. I think he still wants to do stuff with Collision. Obviously, he did the pre-show for All Out the other night, and you, like I said, you can still see him on Collision every week. But when it comes to Kevin Kelly, man, like, he's really the main guy, probably besides Nigel McGuinness and Morrow, that really helped me get a grasp of, like, pointing out sequences and understanding the name of the moves, and, like, just, I guess, telegraphing when those sequences are happening. If someone like me who's been transcribing wrestling shows for the last 10 years, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to learn and use those guys as a point of reference. You know, I had my website, ProWrestlingTransfusions.com, is always as a point of reference sheet for you guys. But my point of reference when I'm making these pieces is the commentary team. So that's why I always put an emphasis on the commentary. Really could be a deodorizer to bad angles, awkward moments on a show. They are the pulse and the narrator of a wrestling show most times. And I think that gets lost sometimes because a lot more people are now, as they watch these shows weekly, they're more fixated on the booking and the crowd reactions and stuff like that. And look, I'm a different type of wrestling fan. My enjoyment for a wrestling show is not predicated whether a show is sold out, what ratings they're drawing, or the fact that the crowd's making a noise or not. I could give two shits. I covered almost 2 full years of New Japan shows with just crowds clapping. I can appreciate the art of professional wrestling without noise. And, I know a lot of people were frustrated with the pandemic era. And, me too. I would love to go into a lot of those shows too. But for me, the art of professional wrestling and the stories are told inside the ring and by the people who are provided the lyrics of the people inside that ring. So I owe a lot to Kevin Kelly. I don't know who's replacing him. I don't know if Ian Riccaboni is going to spend more time doing stuff in Japan. I would love to throw my hat out there, but I can't really say that right now because I haven't really done play-by-play commentary on a wrestling promotion yet, so I can't really say that. I would love to do it. That's definitely a goal of mine, to call a wrestling show at Korakuen Hall or Osaka Joe Hall or a Wrestle Kingdom. I would love to do that, but we'll have to see what happens. But I'm glad you asked that, Chris, because this is definitely a topic I did not want to skip over because there's been so much going on with this Punk shit that, like, a lot of these little side stories get tossed to the side. So I'm very appreciative for you asking me that. The last question from Chris this week was favorite match from Payback. Well, I will be doing my Payback review in the next segment, but since you asked, my favorite match for me from Saturday was the tag team Steel City street fight. That was my favorite match, and the Judgment Day are now your brand new undisputed WWE tag team champions. So good shit from that match, and good shit from you, Chris, as always. I appreciate the questions, as always. For those who are watching or listening live, you can ask me questions in the chat box, and I will answer it to the best of my ability. Let's go to the next Excuse me. The next set of questions from the good brother Mike Rubio at Main Event Swerve. He says, "What up, Oos? Here are some questions on my mind as we kick off the NFL season tonight, but only some football ones. By the way, as I'm recording this, it's the Chiefs and the Lions are tied at 7-7. Detroit is trying to come down the field here, marching down the field here in the second quarter with 8 minutes left. Um, let's see what Mike has for us for questions this week. He says, "What are you looking forward to most about the NFL season?" That's a good question. I think for me, I'm which particular teams are really gonna go take that next step in being powerhouses in the prospective conferences. I really think that the NFC is like wide open for a lot of different teams. I think the NFC North is a crapshoot. Anybody and any team from that division could win the NFC North. There's a lot of parity, and I know that usually for the NFL, a lot of people are more worried about the quarterbacks and stuff like that. For me, I'm just more interested in seeing what the future of the NFL as a whole is because um, Brady's retired, Manning's gone. There's this post I saw on Twitter the other day of all these quarterbacks: Matt Ryan, Philip Rivers, et cetera, et cetera. They're all retired. So we are looking at the new NFL. We have some guys still hanging on to their lives as starters. We have Patrick Mahomes. You got Joe Burrow. You got Lamar Jackson. Aaron Rodgers is now a New York Jet. There's a lot of things to look forward to, but I just think collectively as a whole, I'm just excited to see which teams really start arising in their perspective conferences and where things go from there. Of course, NFL's king, so I don't think we're ever going to be bored with the NFL content, but it should be cool. By the way, as I'm saying that, I want to give a birthday shout out to my good brother and my mentor, Jonathan Hood, who hosts Captain J Hood on ESPN 1000 WMVP Chicago, part of Good Karma Brands. Speaking of Good Karma Brands, he's also co-host of Good Karma Wrestling podcast he does with Brian Rowitz and Gabe Neitzel. Hoodie's birthday is today on September 7th as I'm recording this. And I just want to give a shout out to Hoodie. He's another person. I probably say out of my hand, I could point out like maybe 5 people that are very responsible for me being where I am right now in my broadcasting and media career. And Hoodie's right there at number 1. Hoodie, Steve Muehlhausen, from a transcription point of view, KG, my mentor and friend, who unfortunately passed away a couple years ago. There's many others that I can mention there, but Hoodie is the guy for me. He was one of the first people in the business to believe in me, and we've shared a lot of fun times on the microphone when I was part of his show on Tuesday Wrestling Tuesday. I miss creating content with him. I miss recording shows with him, but he's doing a lot of great stuff, man, and it's cool that my teacher at the Illinois Media School is now one of the main on-air hosts on the best sports station in Chicago. Let alone the fact that Hoodie is also the main host of the morning show on ESPN 1000. So I think that's awesome. I couldn't be happier for Hoodie's success. He had a lot of appearances and stuff going on this past weekend at StarCast in Schaumburg. And he's killing it, man. So I'm very happy for his success. So from me to you, Hoodie, I just want to give you a big birthday shout out, Connie. Man. Hoodie's the man. All right, let's go to the next question here from Mike. What player will be the biggest surprise this season, whether good or bad? Great question. I really think that George Pickens from the Steelers is going to be very good. Obviously, he had a lot of breakout moments in his rookie year. But I just like the makeup of the guy. You know, when football, they always talk about, a guy's good when the guy's like a dog, right? And I think George Pickens is due to have another breakout season, and he's that dude. You could call him a dog, you could call him or whatever. George Pickens is pretty good. On the bad side, um, this one should be interesting. I'm sorry to my buddy Eddie, King Edward 15 on Twitter. I'm sorry to say this, man, but yeah, we're gonna see Deshaun Watson be what I've said this entire time, overrated as shit. That's what I'm gonna say, which is really unfortunate because Cleveland does have a lot of talents, but their front offices just picked the wrong people at quarterback. Kind of sounds familiar to my Chicago Bears, right? Hashtag we stinks. Do you see the Lions opening the season with an upset of the world champ Chiefs? Well, right now, as I'm answering this question, it's tied as we're getting close to halftime. I don't know. I picked the Chiefs to win. Oh, by the way, I'm glad you asked this since we're talking about football. If you guys want to be part of our Pick'em League on ESPN, I have it in the chat box here on YouTube if you want to check it out. Yeah, it's free. It's a confidence pool. I'm not charging any money for it. You can be a part of it, follow the rules, and let's see who's the best at picking football games. That's the fun challenge that we have here on the podcast at Hoots every single year when we do these confidence leagues. So, all right, let's go to the next question here. Humana. Got so many tabs here. All right, speaking of upsets, sure, it's one game and a close win, but what are your thoughts on Brother Carter's Colorado Buffaloes and Coach Prime getting an upset over the national champ runner-ups last year? I think it's impressive. I am not a college football fan whatsoever. I can't tell you who's what from what when it comes to the college football world, but I'm happy for Prime because I'm a fan of his work, and there's a lot of people in the media who doubt him and try to poke fun at him. So anytime he wins and the stuff he was doing at Jackson State, I think that's cool. I am one of those people that kind of thrives on proving people wrong, not in a spiteful way, but if somebody doubts me, I'm definitely motivated to prove that person wrong. It's kind of similar to this project I'm working on, obviously, that I've been talking about nonstop over the last couple weeks. And I think that for me personally, I'm just wired different than other people. If somebody doubts me, that really gets me going. So, next question. All right, here's a scenario for you. You book a Disney cruise and you're looking forward to it for months. But as you pack and drive toward Florida, oh man, bring me to Florida, a major hurricane could be on its way. Do you still go or refund me, bro? I'm still going. If I'm living in Florida, right, and if that was my goal, right, I'm going to go. It's no different from me booking a trip in a Disney cruise in California to go to Disneyland and worry about earthquakes. You got to understand what part of the country you're in, and you can't run away from hurricanes and you can't run away from earthquakes. So I'm just gonna go. I booked the trip. What else can I do? Wait for the refund that probably won't come in a year. The worst part of it's just probably a bad storm. We probably won't get sucked up in the hurricane. All right, which streaming deal sounds better? 3 months of Disney Plus for $1.99 a month, or paying $15 a month for HBO but getting a live sports package at no additional cost? Screw that. I'm going to Disney Plus. I have my means to find my live content for sports purposes. I'm not gonna say it on here, but I have what I need when it comes to that. I'm not even subscribed to Disney Plus right now. I would love to have a Disney Plus account. I really would. So that offer for 3 months of $1.99. That's a steal because you get to see my shows like How I Met Your Mother, and I get to watch my favorite movies like Lion King, all the Lion Kings. um, I don't need to pay $15 a month for Max. No, thank you. I got Netflix. All right. What hits your taste buds more, red velvet Oreos or a pumpkin spice frosty from Wendy's? Well, I haven't had Wendy's since I moved into this house. I haven't had takeout food in that fashion, like those Burger King's, McDonald's places, since I moved in here. I can't have it. So, and also, I'm not a fan of pumpkin spice lattes. I'm not really into that stuff. So I'm gonna go with the red velvet Oreos, and even then, I'm kind of meh when it comes to red velvet stuff. But that's just me. All right. Speaking of Wendy's, what do you put on your burger or your perfect burger? Not an in and out burger slash what a burger question. That's a good question. I've been doing these meal prep things, right? And this part of this project that I'm doing, drinking nonstop water, extensive walks, a whole bunch of stuff like that. And, I get to pick the meat that I want for the particular week, and I have it Monday through Friday. And sometimes I can mix it up here and there, where maybe 2 days I have steak, maybe 2 days I have chicken, but it's always had to be in portions, and had to mix it around with brown rice. And for me, I'm not the biggest vegetable guy. I'm just owning up to that fact. Maybe this is the one bad trait of me being a Taurus, the whole zodiac sign about being stubborn. I know what I like and I know what I don't like, and I don't need to do tests and different tastes or try things to know what I'm not. I know my taste buds, and there's for me it has to be carrots or broccoli. Those are the two that I could stomach for me personally. But going back to this burger question, I'm glad you asked this because this weekend I'm making burgers for the first time, and I'm very interested to see how that's gonna go. But my perfect burger, if you had to ask me, I would like. I think it's very important to mention that having a toasted bun is good. Nothing wrong with a regular bun if you want to go that route. But for me personally, I like toasted buns, so that's how I like it. Um, Obviously, you gotta have some type of cheese. Um, I like provolone cheese. That's what I like. Um, Probably add. This is what I would do for my perfect burger. Have the toast bun, obviously both of them, and you have provolone cheese, lettuce, and bacon. I mentioned the provolone cheese, right? Right. So that's probably my favorite one. I do like the junior bacon cheeseburgers from Wendy's. Since we're talking about Wendy's, I like those. My personal favorite burger from any of the fast food places, in my opinion, for me, is the Big Macs from McDonald's. Those are my personal favorites. There's other good ones. Wendy's has some decent burgers. Um, Burger King, when I was younger, I liked it more. But if I had my druthers, it would probably be like that burger that I mentioned earlier, and then maybe like a junior bacon cheeseburger. That'd probably be my pick. All right. For Throwback Thursday, the University of Houston recently debuted some awesome Houston Oiler jerseys that were used in their home opener. What is your favorite throwback jersey in any sport? Well, I really do like that old black and red Bulls jerseys that they had in the 90s. They wear it occasionally during the season, but I really dig those. I'm pretty sure you guys know what I'm talking about. And then, um, let's see. I For the most part, I like the Bears old throwback jerseys. There's like a darker blue and orange one that they used to wear. There's one in a game, unfortunately, where Mitch Trubisky got injured against the Vikings. I can't really describe what that jersey's one. I think maybe it's the 1936 jerseys. I really love those. I thought those were really cool. So I dig those a lot. Um, but those are my picks. What is the best music artist you have heard in your time? Didn't start making music until after you were born. Oh, that's a good question. Um, Best artist since the time I've been alive, it's got to be Taylor Swift. And this may make me lose some manly points here, but I'm just gonna be honest. For me, I wanted to talk about this a couple weeks ago on the pod, and this is like one of those moments you record something, and then the next like 10 minutes later you're like, ah, shit, I forgot I wanted to say this. Those moments happen from time to time with me, and this is something I wanted to talk about a couple weeks ago because they had the announcement of the Eras tour being aired in the movie theaters coming up soon. And I saw that news and I was like, hey, that's pretty cool, right? Like, I have such a deep appreciation for Taylor Swift musicianship, the way she writes songs. Obviously, she's fucking hot too. That counts as well. But but more importantly, I really admire her work ethic, the fact that she's a good person and humble, and also there's a lot of songs from her catalog that I liked a lot. And I'll admit, to a certain extent, there was a time where I felt that the radio was trying to shove Taylor Swift down my throat when I was like in high school, and maybe I wasn't like a big fan of her during that time period. But I think it was when she made the look at what she made me do um music video that came out. I watched it and I was like, wow, this is a dope. This is like the coolest music video that I saw since like Tom Petty's Don't Come Around Here No More music video. And I just appreciate the fact that she listens to her audience. She's very coy. I think Taylor Swift in her own way, in a wrestling sense, she's very coy, and like Paul Heyman, the way she goes about her business, and how she like leaves little hints and clues and stuff like that. Um, Taylor Swift is fantastic. I really enjoy her work. She's a great singer. I think I know about almost 60% of her songs on the guitar. So and her results and her track record business wise speaks for itself. Maybe some people might like her, some people don't. That's their prerogative. But for me, you know, facts are facts. She's probably the best selling artist since Michael Jackson, and she's that damn good. So, um, I'm not gonna label myself as a Swifty, but just know that your boy is a mark for Taylor Swift, and I hold no shame. She's awesome at what she does. So, just wanted to say that really quick. um, Speaking of Mikey, just sent me a clip of Carlos Rodon. Don't worry, I'll get to the CLAHN of the week later on. All right. Oh man, that's a good question. All right, let's go to the next one here. We have um, what rising star you rather see feud with John Cena, Grayson Waller or L.A. Knight? Yeah. I'm gonna go with Grayson Waller. Actually, I know on paper, yeah, John Cena and LA Knight would be a cool feud, but for me, I think you get more benefits on a mutual side and more heat, I guess, in a Grayson Waller feud than an LA Knight feud, just from a good guy versus bad guy dynamic. But that's just me. I'd rather see Grayson Waller have a feud with John Cena. In some ways, I felt if John Cena feuded with LA Knight, you would kind of expose LA Knight in a lot of ways. So for me, I would go with Grayson Waller. Um, Also, the two rising stars, who wins a WWE title of any kind first? That's a very important distinction there, Mike. I'm gonna say LA Knight. He probably gets a title at WrestleMania. Here's my guess. I think LA Knight wins the U.S. Championship at WrestleMania. There you go. LA Knight. I know a lot of people are like, oh, LA Knight should win the Royal Rumble next year. Well, let's pipe down on that a little bit, okay? we don't need to redo Daniel Bryan for WrestleMania 30 because it's WrestleMania 40. We do not need to do that. Where do you see the Becky Lynch Tiffany Stratton storyline going after Tuesday? Is it one off, or would Becky stay a while like Dominic? I don't know. Like I with Chris' question, I think it's beneficial for all three parties, Becky, Tiffany, and the brand. It's gonna be good business. If it's a one-off, cool. If they have a rivalry for a couple months, great. I really don't know what you have. Becky is in a hard position right now just due to the nature of the fact that she's on Raw. And when you think about it from a business point of view, you would want to have Becky against Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania. After she defeated Trish Stratus at Payback, I really don't know who else she was going to get into a feud with. So she could stay in NXT for a while, and I don't think it's going to harm her anyway. Which Judgment Day champ will lose their belt first or none before 2024 begins? Great question. I'm going to go with Dominic. That'll probably be my guess. What moment strikes you as a crazier live shot or holy shit moment? Braun Breaker to Von Wagner Tuesday, or the whole Kai and Tai choppy pee pee thing? That's a good question. Okay, for me, the craziest thing I ever seen live at a wrestling show for me, in person, was Edge spearing Mick Foley through the flaming table. For me, that's the ultimate holy shit moment for me. There's a lot of them you could go over in history. You know, Seth Rollins giving Dean Ambrose a curb stop through cinder blocks. Or Austin flipping over the DX truck. There's a lot of different moments, but for me, I think Edge spearing Mick Foley is like my ultimate holy shit moment during a wrestling show. And as far as the whole Braun Breaker, Von Wagner thing, I wanted to talk about this in the next segment, but I'll talk about it here now. I didn't mind it. I thought it was cool. You know, I felt that it was cool that they wanted to go that route. And there's so much with the wrestling fans these days where they need to act like they're bookers and responsible for creative and stuff like that. Like they're the judge, jury, and executioner of booking when they've never done it in their life. And it's like, no shit. Of course, Braun Breaker is not going to try to kill Von Wagner on live TV. Yeah, so they decided to go with the route with turn the cameras off. So that's the option they wanted to go with. And Braun and Vaughn had a very good match. And you can understand to a certain extent where, you know, what does that mean now? You know, Braun Breaker tried to massacre in storyline sense another wrestler. Is that a way to say, like, hey, Braun, we had enough of your shit. Now it's time for you to really test yourself on Raw or SmackDown. You know what I mean? And I think that's cool. I really do. I think Braun, it's long overdue for him to be up on Raw or SmackDown, in my opinion. By the way, the Chiefs just scored a touchdown. The Chiefs are up 13-7 here. 34 seconds left here on the first half of football here for 2023 as Mahomes threw a touchdown to, I think that's Blake Bell, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Travis Kelce is out tonight. He had a knee injury before the game this week. backup tight ends, Kelsey's all pretty excited. This is the first time I'm recording the show and I get able to watch the game going on at the same time here in the studio, which is pretty cool. Anyways, that's a good question for Mike. The last one here is another good one. Lastly, what event do you look forward to transcribing most in the next few months to close out the year? Congrats on getting back into it. Well, stay loosey, man, and thanks for answering as always. Thanks, Mike Rubio at Main Event Swerve. Well, Mike, I appreciate you for sending great questions this week, as you always do. For those who don't know, I'm not going to spend on this too long, but yes, God's timing is real. If you don't believe that, I don't know what else to tell you. It's going to show you one way or another. But God's timing is real. And this past Friday it's going to be up there for one of the best days I've had in a very, very long time. Friday, I decided to take a trip to Navy Pier to unwind a little bit, but also to test myself to walk around downtown and try to get over 10,000 steps downtown. You know, I have my deal where I walk in my house every day, but it's another thing walking on sidewalk and walking with people around you and stuff like that in that environment. So I went to Navy Pier to test myself on Friday, and it was great. I had a great time. I had a good lunch after too. And I also got time to unwind a little bit because it was the first day of September, and August was a very busy month for me, obviously with all this workout stuff. And I got back, had my weekly chat with my DD Lucy, and then after she left, I was getting ready to watch SmackDown. I look at my phone, and my buddy Calvin, who runs Wrestling Headlines, formerly known as Lords of Pain, reached out to me and asked me if I would like to start covering Raw, SmackDown, and NXT every week because one of their main writers, Mark Middleton, decided to step down. And I've been waiting for this moment for 6 months. You guys who watch and listen to the show since day one or any extended time probably know about my situation and how shitty this year has been for me. And God's timing is real, man. It's real. I was hoping it would happen to have an opportunity like this covering these big shows that I wasn't beforehand. It's just a blessing, man. I'm now getting to cover the shows I want to, and it just felt so good this week. You have no idea how great this felt for me this week to cover Raw and cover NXT live, man. For me, my wrestling experience is better when I'm covering these shows. It really is. I love doing this show. Don't get me wrong. I really do. But the atmosphere and the opportunity to transcribe wrestling shows while it's live, it's just a adrenaline rush for me personally that I don't get anywhere else besides probably playing music, you know, or recording this show. And for me, it was just special, man. I had my time over the weekend to get emotional and choke up about it, and just really let it sit in that, hey man, I got my job back, and it felt so good, man. And I had to let it play out. I needed to stick through it and not be discouraged, and not give up. And, I took that risk of covering the G1 a couple of months ago on my own end, on my website. And I'm just glad that this opportunity came, and it's something that I'm not going to have to worry about now. It's something that is there. It's an opportunity that I'm going face first into it, and nothing's taking that away from me. And I'm just it's hard to answer this question because it's not one particular event that I'm looking forward to, Mike. It's every fucking event I'm looking forward to. I don't care if it's a Raw or a Raw in Cleveland or a SmackDown in Bumblefuck, Arkansas. The fact that I'm having the opportunity to cover the shows I've been wanting to do for a long time, the fact that I got my job back, more importantly, it means the world to me. And this is the thing, man. People are gonna throw things at you. You're gonna go through obstacles. You're gonna go through a lot of shit, and you're gonna be tested. And boy, have I been tested this year in more ways than none. More on a professional point of view than personally, but the fact that this blessing came at this time is something that I can't be more grateful for. It's something that I've been waiting for 6 months, and it was something I thought I may not ever get back. And I'm just grateful that I'm back on the grind. I'm back doing what I love, more importantly. And it's just one of those things, like, I had so many goals that I wanted to accomplish by the time I'm turning 30 in next May. And, I feel like in a lot of ways this year I've been like taking 3 steps back in a lot of ways. And it's kind of a shitty feeling. And a lot of those things are out of my control, like getting furloughed, losing my apartment, you know, stuff like that is out of my control. And now here I am. I have a new great place here. I need to spend time and make up time with my family here on my dad's side of the family that I haven't had a chance to do for a long time. And also now, 3 months in here, I have a purpose now in this house besides doing my walking and workout stuff. And it's great, man. It really is. I know a lot of people my age are more fixated on relationships and getting married and et cetera, et cetera. Dude, man, my focus right now is my happiness in reloading my fucking bank account. I'm not even gonna lie. Just reloading my bank account and just having fun, man. Having fun doing this, having fun transcribing the shows and playing music. That's all I need, man. I don't need distractions. I, I, I don't know if I want kids or whatever. It's not a priority for me right now. My focus and my main priority right now is keeping this job, kicking ass with this workout project, and just being happy, man. That's really all I need right now. So, man, Friday was a day that I won't forget for a very, very long time, and it was a very special day for me. And I'm just glad it's like a monkey. It's like that wrench you get off your shoulder. It's just like weight off your shoulders, and it's cool, man. I couldn't be more grateful for this opportunity, man. So, if you want to see my transcript work, I'm back on the grind. You can see my transcript work on Raw, SmackDown, and NXT at WrestlingHeadlines.com. So you can check out those transcripts there. Anyways, and I know I want to give a shout out to Mike for the questions this week. As always, if you want to participate in the Back Porch Q&A session, all you have to do is hit me up at Twitter at the Hoots Podcast or the Hoots Podcast at gmail.com. When we come back, we'll talk about what happened this week in WWE right here on the Hoots Podcast. We're back here. Time to talk about what happened this week in WWE. Now this is gonna be cool. Now that I got my gig back, I could be more descriptive, I guess, and give a more analytical approach to these WWE segments here on the show. Let's start off with SmackDown this past week, because we had a lot of things go down the show. Obviously, we had Jimmy Uso confront the returning John Cena. John Cena said that Jimmy Uso's the Uso that he should have been the one who quitted instead of Jay. I thought that was a good line. So great to see John Cena back, man. That guy is a legend, man. I don't think that guy gets enough props for what he's done for the wrestling industry. And you don't have to love his character or whatever. Look, I was a guy like 18 years old, like every other guy like me, that had one of those Cena sucks shirts, right? I had those. I remember this like yesterday. I went to a pay-per-view in Milwaukee, Wisconsin with my uncle Jeremy. It's the Elimination Chamber 2012. So I go there with this Cena sucks shirt, right? And I had the sign too, Cena sucks. I was in the whole bit, okay? I'll admit, I was being a mark during that time. And this is before I got into doing shows like this and making transcripts. I was an anti-John Cena guy. And I started to know the change in the different tone during the Cena and Rock feud. But also this moment at the Elimination Chamber, a young kid, had to be like 9 or 10 years old, walks up to me and says, "No, John Cena doesn't suck. You suck." And that moment there was a eye-opening thing for me, because after that moment, it was like, all right, John Cena's cool. I get it now. I get it now, you know? And I remember that. John Cena doesn't suck. You suck. Oh, man, that was a great moment. But John Cena comeback just brings back great energy, man. And he was on Cloud Night on SmackDown. There's a lot of other stuff on the show. We had Bailey against Shotzi. Let me pull up some stuff from SmackDown really quick, so I don't lose my train of thought here. Just 1 second here. September 1. Yeah. Well, Jimmy Uso was very butthurt over what happened with John Cena. Cena gave him the AA. He got into an argument with Adam Pearce. Disrespected Mia Yim, which led to the main event match with him, and which ended up leading to a main event match with Solo Sikoa and AJ Styles. And again, this is part of what I was talking about earlier in the back porch when it comes to Jimmy Uso. We don't know where things are going to go with this bloodline. Sorry about that. We don't know where things are going with this bloodline angle. We really don't. And that's the thing. That's the reason why we watch the show. So whatever happens tomorrow night, will Jimmy get back in the bloodline? When's the next time we'll see Roman Reigns? Who knows? So either Jimmy could try to convince Solo to get out of the bloodline. Jimmy could get back with the bloodline. Maybe Jimmy has a match with Roman. I have absolutely no idea, nor do I want to know what's going to happen. So John Cena was there. It was also preview night to preview the matches at Payback. We had Grayson Waller and Austin Theory beat the LWO in a tag match. I thought that one was pretty solid. The Miz and The Miz and LA Knight's promo segment before their match at Payback, I thought was tremendous. If you guys haven't seen it, you guys should really go out of your way to check it out. So I thought that was cool. And then tomorrow on SmackDown is AJ Styles against Jimmy Uso. Now, a lot of talents are in India, I believe, right now, because they're having a special show taking place in India. So John Cena will not be on SmackDown tomorrow in Boston, which is kind of unfortunate timing for the people in Boston, because, you know, John Cena's from there. So I hope maybe they like tape something in advance to have Cena say something to the Boston crowd, which would be cool. But all in all, I'm excited for it. And here's the thing. There was something big that happened on Monday Night Raw this past Monday, which kind of lays into an era of intrigue. What's going to happen tomorrow night? What is this trade compensation for Jey Uso? And as I say that, that's a great segue into my thoughts on Payback. Let's talk about Payback from Pittsburgh this past Saturday night. A show on paper you may think could have been mid, a show that skippable, a show maybe you didn't care for. For me, this show really was a showcase of where things have advanced um, storyline wise. I really feel that as you watch the WWE product right now, there's just a lot of layers to a lot of different things that are going on with Raw, SmackDown, and the biggest thing that I don't think people are talking about enough is that people care. you know, they're having a good time with these shows. They're bringing signs to the show. They want to be there. They want to chant. They want to boo. Every time Dominic comes out on the screen, people are booing this dude out of the building. So it's just a good vibe. Even for matches infused, maybe people weren't interested, like Becky Lynch and Trish Stratus. They start off the show with the cage match, and these ladies tear the freaking house down. So I really, really enjoyed Payback. And I just thought it was a good showcase show coming off of SummerSlam. I know a lot of people were kind of sour on that show just due to the fact that Jimmy turned on Jay, and they try to tie them up. The wrestling fans, the marks and the wrestling Twitter crybabies were tying themselves into knots over whether or not that decision made sense or not, the whole jump the shark crap. But Payback just was things that had progression. You had things people were intrigued by. John Cena was the host of the show. He was a special guest referee for him in the LA Knight Miz match, which LA Knight did get the victory. LA Knight and John Cena shared an awkward moment on stage where things were going to go with that. I mentioned earlier the tag match with Judgment Day, KO, and Sammy was fantastic, man. It's definitely one of the best hardcore matches, and I don't want to say I want to say I'm becoming jaded or desensitized towards disqualification matches just due to the overvolume of those type of matches at AEW. What I am gonna say though is that I really appreciated that match, and it was fucking awesome. So, props to all four, man. And Judgment Day really does run WWE. If you are at this point doubting Judgment Day, you never cared about them in the first place. That's all I'm gonna say. So we had that. Seth Rollins retained over Shinsuke Nakamura. I saw some people are saying, "Oh, this match, this was disappointing," or the crowd didn't give a crap or whatever. I thought it was a good match. I thought, having the match end the way it was like that was just one stop was enough to put Nakamura away. Maybe it was just the fact that Rollins was a step ahead of Nakamura at that moment where Nakamura's his fascination with attacking the back got the best of him in his new character he's playing. That's the thing. Like, you could get cocky and you start toying around with your opponent, and then before you know, you get hit with their fishy move, and then that's it. So I wouldn't say the match was disappointing. I thought it was a solid main event. But more importantly, I just thought the show was fantastic. We had the Grayson Waller effect with Cody Rhodes, which led to that announcement of Jay going to Raw. You hear Cody saying, I hope I don't regret doing this. And I think that's very something to keep your eyes on. Because as we go to Raw, the only ally that Jay has on Raw is Sami Zayn, and that just brings another layer of different feuds and where things stand with where. Adam Pearce is telling Jay during the show, watch your back. There's a lot of people who are still upset with you over the stuff that happened in the bloodline. Drew McIntyre obviously is still upset towards Jay. Riddle has his reasons to be upset with Jay. KO's never liked Jay. There's a lot of different scenarios, which makes that move very interesting. Cody Rhodes was not on Raw this past Monday night. He will be this week. But again, that begs the question. Did Cody Rhodes find his way a loophole to find and bring himself to SmackDown? What's happening? You know, where do things stand with Cody Rhodes? Where things are gonna go with Jey Uso? How does that affect the future of the World Heavyweight Championship picture? Does Jay and Sammy become a tag team and go after the Judgment Day? Dominic Mysterio during the show is trying to recruit Jay to the Judgment Day. you know, there's so many different layers and things going on across Raw and SmackDown, which is giving you a reason to watch these shows. And I just don't think people are want to give WWE credit because they're the big bad evil corporation, and whatever they do is the worst thing ever in professional wrestling. I mean, gotta give credit where credit's due. If I could say for myself that I enjoyed an AEW pay-per-view the other day, you could admit that Payback and the stuff going on with WWE is good. I'm not saying it's great. I'm not saying that everything is fixed or they have no flaws or anything, but you gotta get credit where credit's due. Speaking of that, look, there's part of me where I am a traditionalist at points. I won't say I go as far as Jim Cornette does at times, but even on the surface, like I didn't really care about that whole Invisible match that happened a couple years ago that Bryce Rensburg was the referee for at an indie show. I didn't care for that. But again, it's about performance and it making sense. The way that they pulled off that Miz TV with Invisible John Cena was fantastic. I think that show was in trying to remember. Oh, Charlotte. Yeah, Raw was in Charlotte, North Carolina this past Monday night. And Pittsburgh to Charlotte, North Carolina. That's an interesting trek. Anyways, I'm saying like you have this moment with Miz kind of stealing the show with Invisible John Cena, and shout out to Stu the cameraman. That's just top notch. He's done that entrance shot with John Cena so many years. He got it down to the T. That's fantastic. But Monday Night Raw was all about the Judgment Day, Jey Uso making his appearance on Raw, but more importantly, Chad Gable and Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship. Chad Gable had his family in the front row. Gunther retains. We see his young daughter crying as the show's going off the air. And as of today, as I'm recording this right now, Gunther has now officially became the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion of all time. As Gunther would say, as always, the mat is sacred. This top tier shit, man. There's some really, really good stuff. That match was fantastic. Chad Gable had the post-match interview where he's like, I'm going to make sure that, promise to make sure that he's the one that's going to take the title off of Gunther. I don't think it's the last we're going to see between these guys. I don't know if they fight each other at Fastlane or if it's a scenario where you could stretch it out to Survivor Series. Who knows? Let's say like Gable has to win number one contenders tournament or a gauntlet match. Like let's say you do Bronson Reed, Tommaso Ciampa. I guess you could throw the Miz there if you want. And hell, you can put other people on the like Ricochet, for example. Put Ricochet in there. Just have in Kofi. There you go. You have like a 6-way gauntlet match. You have Chad Gable. You got Chad Gable, Riddle, Kofi Kingston, Ricochet, Bronson Reed, and let's see who else. You put Ludwig Kaiser there just trying to play defense for Imperium. Have that gauntlet match happen on TV, and maybe Gable breaks Gunther's title reign in Chicago at Survivor Series. I would love that. I think that'd be pretty cool. So that's just my opinion. All right, let's go to the next question here. Oh, man. Let's go to the next one here. Not question, my bad. NXT. I wanted to mention this before we get to our main event segment. NXT this past Tuesday night was very interesting. You know, I was obviously my first time doing it live in a while for the NXT show, and there was a lot of crazy stuff that happened on that show. Butch and Axiom was a tremendous match. The Tiffany Stratton Kiana James match that opened the show I thought was pretty solid as well. We had Ilya Dragunov against Aura Mensa, or as I like to say, Oliver Carter from NXT UK. That was a really good match. And then I mentioned earlier with Braun Breaker against Von Wagner. I really enjoy NXT. They have a lot of good things. There's a lot of good characters to enjoy. There's a lot of things and a lot of different storylines for a lot of different people on that roster. And it's a fun show. My only critique, I guess, I have for NXT is that I get it. There's a lot of people that have short attention spans, but I wish there were some parts during the show where they let stuff breathe. I get it. You want to have a storyline for everybody on the roster, but you know we don't need to have 3 backstage segments after every single match. You know, that's just my deal. I just wish some things on the show were having time to breathe, and that's more of my complaint when it comes to NXT. But it's fun. It's a fun show. I enjoy it. I'm excited to cover more shows as the months and weeks go by, and I thought NXT was good. Let's wrap up this segment with this because it's something that's on the mind of everybody in the wrestling world. I'm going to talk about it here, and I'm going to talk about it in the next segment. But this part of the conversation has to do with WWE, and we have to address the elephant in the room. Standing over there across the table for me is a picture frame of the picture I took of CM Punk at the United Center at Collision. Let me pull it out for you. I have this on my table. I don't know if you guys can see it well. There you go. You see that? I have that on my table here in the studio as a memory of the first Collision show I went to at the United Center. There's CM Punk right there. As you guys know by now, or if you've been living under a rock, CM Punk was fired this past Saturday by AEW. And the question out there is, would CM Punk go back to WWE? I listened to Cheap Heat the other day while I was doing my walk, and shout out to Rosenberg and my boy Stat Guy Greg. Great guys. Love Rosenberg. I think he's tremendous. I think he does a great job on all the platforms he's on. I will have to say, though, I vehemently disagree with him saying that there would not be any good business with Punk doing stuff in WWE, especially what's going on right now. I totally get the valid concerns about the attitude problems and the baggage coming off of what we just went through with AEW. I totally understand that. And I also understand to the certain extent that WWE's locker room is very tight and very strong. And you don't hear about these issues in WWE that you have in AEW. People forget the backstage drama with AEW is not just CM Punk and the Elite exclusive, you know. A lot of these issues also happen with other people on the roster. It's just not a well-run promotion when it comes to environment. And that's the culture back there It's just not good. But back to CM Punk. I do not believe the notion out there that CM Punk would not benefit in today's WWE because of his past issues with Triple H. We all know the deal. I listened to the podcast. You listened to the podcast that happened 10 years ago. We all know what happened. It's kind of a full circle situation for me because two things. The night I did my first transcript was the day that CM Punk quit the WWE. Here we are 10 years later. CM Punk got fired by AEW, and coming up this Saturday, Collision is in the same arena in the same city that CM Punk quit the WWE. It's in Cleveland. Look, I know that Punk is not going to be everybody's cup of tea. And there's two different layers of this Punk conversation that I'm going to have on this show. This is more about the WWE side. I believe you are leaving money on the table to not even give it a thought. At least give it a chance. I'm not saying that you have to bring Punk in and he has to have this 5-year run to end his career or anything like that, or Punk has to come in and have multiple main events of WrestleMania. I'm not saying any of that. You could bring Punk in for 6 months if that's something he wants to do, have his match for WrestleMania and call it a career. You could do that. There's a lot of things you could do with CM Punk in WWE. You could do a CM Punk street fight with Stone Cold Steve Austin. You could do that. I think that you could do a lot of good business with CM Punk and Seth Rollins. I really do. You could do good business, obviously, with CM Punk and Roman Reigns. CM Punk and Kevin Owens is on the table. You can rekindle stuff with CM Punk and Randy Orton from back in the day. I just refuse to believe the notion that CM Punk can't do good business in WWE, or if he came back, it wouldn't work. I don't believe that. And does anybody believe that Punk would not have a big impact in WWE if he showed up on a Raw or at Survivor Series? I think you're fooling yourself. And again, there's a lot of people that don't like the guy, and that's your prerogative. But I think you're going to get more. Here's your hot take here, right? I don't believe in hot takes, but here's your hot take for the pod this week. I believe you're going to get more return on your investment with Punk going back to WWE than what he did in the 2.5 years he was in AEW. That's just how I feel. So I want to know, for those who are watching and listening to this, do you think it could work? Is there matches that you want to see CM Punk have in WWE? What would you like to see happen? Let me know on Twitter at the Hoots Podcast. But on that note, we're going to put a ribbon in the bow on this segment and get ready for what everybody's been waiting for, what they need, what they salivate for. Another stellar edition of What the Hell is Wrong with AEW. Let's start this bad boy off in a 3 and a 2, a 1. Let's blast it off. Here we go.
Beat your meat, 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 beat your meat.
I'm telling you, my time is right now. Right this minute, 2022. We're living in my time is now. My time is right goddamn now.
Man, what intensity.
The quality of the product and the quality of the shows is at an all-time high right now. But I do know that it's a real war between AEW and WWE.
I'm still cashing fat checks, and I am still banging the hottest bitch in this entire place.
It's time for What the Hell is Wrong with AEW?
Fuck this shit, I'm out. Fuck this shit, I'm out. No thanks. Don't mind me. I'ma just grab my stuff and leave. Excuse me, please. Fuck this shit, I'm out. Nope. Fuck this shit, I'm out. Alright then. I don't know what the fuck just happened, but I don't really care. I'ma get the fuck up out of here. Fuck this shit, I'm out.
All right, what the hell is wrong with AW? Brought to you by the good folks at PW Torch, Wrestling Observer, and everywhere else. What? Oh, man, what a beautiful picture. What a beautiful portrait that is. Look at that. This is a beautiful scrum. And look, I'm not insulting the man upstairs. Everybody knows my faith in God. I love God. But look at this. Is a beautiful masterpiece. You got all the characters. You got Tony Khan. You have Ray Charles Edwards. You have the Buckaroos and Kenny Olivier, the Hartley boys. Brandon Cutlet there. We got Naka the fuck off. I haven't said that in a while. We got the two-faced dipshit here, Jack Perry. We got Alex Abrahantes, who needs more TV time, I guess, than, I don't know. That dude gets too much TV time. We have Dan Klonzen, and then we got Pockets and COVID God there. So I got to give a shout out to my boy, Joe Cerna, or as his gimmick name is, as a wrestler. He is a wrestler, by the way. Humic. I want to give a shout out to Humic because he's fantastic, man. He made this graphic for me about a year ago. I asked for this design with the Last Supper. And it's just very fitting. Look at, you got Punk right there too, eating all the beautiful pastries on the table. Look at that. That's beautiful. All the Mindy's Bakery. We got right next to Matt Jackson. This portrait could not come out any better. It pops me still every time I see it. But what the hell's wrong with AEW? Well, this is going to be an interesting segment this week because there's good and there's bad. And I guess I should start off with the good because I want to talk about All Out first before we get into anything else on the show. I did not expect much from All Out. I said it on the show last week that I thought it was mid as mid can be. The card is concerned, but from the start of the show to the end where we saw Jon Moxley become the new AEW International Champion, I think this is one of the better pay-per-views AEW's put on all year. I really thought it was a good show. Ooh, that's a shocker coming from me, right? Everybody's like, oh, Josh is praising AEW. It was a really, really good show. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. Part of me is kind of bummed out that I did not see it in person at the United Center, but just being proactive with my money, you know, I'm in a situation. I gotta get my stuff together, so you know what the deal is. But anyways, I really, really enjoyed the show. And here's the thing: with all the bad drama that's going on and the bad press going on the day before, with CM Punk going to be fired, this, like I said earlier during the show, I really felt like this show was a good showcase of what AEW could be and what the AEW product should be. And I thought they did a really good job, man. You know, Miro and Powerhouse Hobbs having one of the more entertaining matches I've seen this entire year. Tony Khan, please embrace having more House fights in your promotion. I'd much rather see Miro and Powerhouse Hobbs have a best of 7 series than the Elites against the Lucha Brothers, or Nick Wayne and Darby Allin as the main event of your fucking flagship show. I don't know what the hell that was last night. But really, like, that match was fantastic. The ladies, I thought did a good job. Chris Statlander and Ruby Soho. The strap match with Bryan Danielson and Ricky Starks was fantastic. If you guys haven't seen it, go check it out. It's very, very, very good. You know, we had the only match, surprisingly, that I didn't care for was the the 8-man tag with the FTR and the Young Bucks against Bullet Club Gold, or Bullet Club Mid, as I like to say sometimes. I just didn't care for that match. Whatever. It went way too long, and the Dead Corpse rap was in its rarest of forms, man. All in all, the All Out show I thought was very good from top to bottom. I really did. Even the Pockets match I liked. And I'm not even an Orange Cassidy fan. I thought that match was very good. Jon Moxley predictably won the international championship, so he was probably the guy to take the title away from Orange Cassidy. But I thought it was a good show. Hell, I forgot to mention Kenny Olivier losing to Kanose Takeshita. I thought that match was pretty solid too. So all in all, man, I really enjoyed All Out, and given the circumstances of everything that happened during that weekend, I just thought it was cool. I really, really enjoyed it this past Sunday night, and it's definitely a show to hang your hat on. Now we get to the bad, because now we have to talk about the Punk stuff here and more hyperbole stuff from AEW and the AEW bubble. Tony Khan, I don't know how you can sit there with a straight face and say that this is the greatest week in the history of your company, when again the attention on your record-breaking show is not what's happening in the stadium, what happened behind the scenes. You know, more people were talking about CM Punk than AEW breaking the all-time record for paid attendance at a wrestling show. So I don't know how you can sit there with a straight face and say this is the greatest week in the history of AEW. I just don't know how you can say that. I just don't. But here's the deal. Here's the now AEW side of this angle that I have to talk about here with CM Punk. This investment was a flop. This investment and this experiment with CM Punk exposed AEW in a lot of ways, in a lot of bad ways too. And I appreciate, I did a video on here on the channel. By the way, you should subscribe so you can follow up with all the bonus contents we put up here on the channel. I did a reaction video giving credit where credit's due to Tony Khan for having the balls to make that type of decision to let CM Punk go, and understanding that you got to do what's best for you and your company. So I'm not going to go as harsh as I usually do towards Tony Khan this week, because I gain a lot of respect for him for the decision he made. But here's the problem, okay? You can't say, you're not reading the room, man. That's a problem there. So you have, you fired the guy, you go out there and cut this 6-minute soliloquy on the stage, sitting on the chair at the United Center before Collision goes on air, explaining what happened, and then you're saying that you felt like your life is in danger and everything. I don't buy that for 1 second. I just feel like, everything with CM Punk and AEW was just a bill of goods. That's really my ultimate takeaway of CM Punk's experience in AEW. And I can admit, as a guy who hasn't been convinced that I should buy into AEW, I went to multiple shows of AEW just to support CM Punk. The only one that I went to that had nothing to do with CM Punk, who was originally supposed to be there, unfortunately, was the Forbidden Door. That was the only show of AEW's that I went to that had nothing to do with CM Punk. The Forbidden Door show at the United Center. I went to the show. Most of the time I went to the AEW shows was to support CM Punk. I was not there for AEW purposes. Now he's not there. I want the product to be good. I just put over All Out. I want it to be good. There are good wrestlers on there. It's not all bad, but I'm not sitting here and being put in a blind eye to me because there shows TV 14. It's a new company. It's not WWE. All this other stuff. No. When you call yourself All Elite Wrestling and you proclaim that you offer elite wrestling, and what I see on TBS and TNT says otherwise, that's the issue. So when I was there at the first dance at the United Center on that Rampage episode, and I was there for Punk's debut, I was like, okay, let's see how this goes. And every single concern that I had about the promotion at that time before Punk came in was validated through that process. I was not shocked by one thing that happened in AEW with CM Punk. Even before the whole brawl out, scrum, and fight, everything and concern that I had about Punk being there as a CM Punk fan and a CM Punk mark was validated over time during that period. And you could go back in the archives of this podcast. I even said it before Collision became a thing or Collision was getting off the ground. I said that the juice is not worth the squeeze, and you need to admit to yourself that this idea of a guy being out of the industry for 7 years is going to come back and bring AEW to the next level. It didn't. And I hate saying that because Punk is my favorite wrestler. But facts are facts. They're stagnant. I'm not saying there's all bad in AEW, but when it comes to CM Punk being there, AEW did not go to the next level. It regressed. Nobody wants to say that, but I will. It regressed. There was a great feud with MJF, but I don't give AEW credit for that. MJF can have a great feud with fucking anybody. He can have a classic feud with Val Venus or Lance Storm or Steve Blackman. I don't give AEW credit for that. You got two guys who can be successful in spite of the promotion that they're working for. And that's the thing. Like, everything I saw from AEW with CM Punk attached to it was just nothing more but a bill of goods. That's all it was. So the right decision was made. But that whole soliloquy on the stage was a bad look. And you just don't read the room. Again, that's the issue that's been going on for years now with Tony Khan. You do not read the room. You just don't. And yes, you can have Bryan Danielson be now the face of Collision. Whoopity-doo. Bryan Danielson is there. He's a great wrestler and he does great things. But is he gonna bring AEW to another level that CM Punk was supposed to? We'll have to remain to see. I have my doubts. So CM Punk is gone. We'll see the ripple effects of that on Collision and see where things go for 5 months from now. But I feel a lot of people are going to give Tony Khan a bunch of excuses. And he needs to take it on a chin on the fact that this experiment of CM Punk was a failure. He has to be accountable for that too. It's not just Phil Brooks and it's not just Ace Steel. You can fire people all you want, but you need to hold yourself accountable too. And that's all I'm going to say about it. Let's talk about Dynamite really quick because there's really not much to discuss this week. I'm going to say this. I thought the show, for the most part, was mid. Not only the fact it was not CM Punk, it was in Indiana, a dump of all places. I just thought the show was mid. You know, John Moxley, AR Fox. I don't know. It wasn't for me. I didn't care about the match. The Sex Gods against Aussie Open. I keep saying it. All Jericho feuds are mid these days. Jericho and Guevara, just get your match over with and get Jericho off of TV for a while. Please, can we do that? The show started to pick up a little bit when Samoa Joe and MJF had their confrontation. Chris, you asked me earlier my thoughts on MJF and Samoa Joe. I liked the segment. I thought it was good. I thought both guys played off each other very well on the microphone. I liked the segment a lot. I thought it was very good. At the same time, I thought the physicality, once the barbs were over, were kind of I don't know. It's just the weird. It's weird. You're doing like low blow shots, yet you're up on your feet like 30 seconds later and doing sequences. I just didn't get that. I get it. You have the whole Brochacho thing with him and Adam Cole, but I'm more than fine with MJF and Samoa Joe fighting each other at Grand Slam. I think that's gonna be cool. I have no problem with that at all. What I will say though is, do we really need these AEW World Title Eliminator matches? Why do we need these stupid tournaments all the time? And it's not even the fact it's a tournament. Look at these fucking brackets. They're brutal. They're JoJo Dutch. They're brutal Bob Evans. Oh, man. It's not good. Just make the match official. MJF and Samoa Joe at Grand Slam. Why we have to go through this whole predictable ass tournament just to have Joe have the match? I don't know. That was a miss for me. Also a miss was Hangman Page and Swerve Strickland. I think these two can have good matches with each other. I'm just not buying what Swerve's selling. I just gotta be honest with you guys. It's great in the ring, and then he starts talking in the microphone, and that's when I start tuning him out. I just don't care what he has to say. Anytime I hear a wrestler do the, oh, woe is me, oh, if this thing happened, I would have been the champion right now. If my mother had balls, she would be my father. She doesn't, so she's not my father. I have no sympathy for woe is me promos. Kind of similar to Athena, too, who loves to run to the dirt sheets and cry about her booking issues and her creative. I have no sympathy for those type of wrestlers. Zilch. Zero. Don't get me wrong, Swerve and Hangman can have some really good matches, but just the basis and the merits of that promo was just odd to me. How is it that a guy who got stuffed into a coffin by a 64-year-old wrestler is going to come out on the screen with a straight face and act like a tough guy and question the merits of Hangman Page's work ethic and attitude? Great theme song. Good wrestler. Why should I care about Swerve Strickland? He's just there for me. Does anybody give two rats ass about the Mogul Embassy or Prince Nana doing that stupid fucking dance all the time? Who cares? These two will have a good match, but as far as a rivalry, no thank you. That's a pass for me. Also pass is Darby Allin and Nick Wayne being a main event on Dynamite. I'm sorry, man. I get it. You want to give Nick Wayne all this TV time and expose him to the AEW crowd, and he's an internet darling and all this shit, but facts are facts too. The kid's 18 years old, and he's done nothing on the roster to validate himself to even be considered for a shot at the world championship. So stupid to have this guy in that match, in that tournament. I mean, stupid. Let's do the Excrement impression. I got one more thing to show here before we wrap up this segment this week. All right. Here we go. Coming to you live on Rampage on TNT tomorrow night. The Grand Slam World Title Eliminator Tournament quarterfinals continue. It's Penta El Zero Miedo taking on Jay Lethal. Right there, we have Ring of Honor World Television Champion Samoa Joe renewing a long-time rivalry with Jeff Hardy. From there, we see the Young Bucks taking on the tag team of Daddy Magic Matt Menard and Cool Hand Ange. We'll hear from Sammy Guevara. And a trios match which features Hikaru Shida, Dr. Britt Baker D&D, and Sky Blue taking on the team of Taya Valkyrie, The Bunny, and Anna Jay. Make sure to get all your tickets right now from AEW at AEWTIX.com. That's AEWTIX.com. Also, I want to give props to Roderick Strong because I'm starting to get... his character is starting to crack me up a little bit. I like it. I wouldn't say I love it, but it's good. I enjoy it. The last thing I'll play here before we get into the end of the show here and wrap up this segment is I want to play something from the 83 Weeks podcast with Eric Bischoff talking about the dirt sheets. I think you guys will get a lot of insight from this, and I hope you guys enjoy it. So here's Conrad and Eric Bischoff from this previous week's 83 Weeks talking about the dirt sheets. Let's play this.
I'm going to spend a little time talking about that because you and I have been doing this podcast for over 5 years now.
Yeah.
Which is mind-boggling to me. And during that 5-year period of time, I have spent a lot of time shredding, exposing Dave Meltzer for what he is and the damage that I believe. And I've said on this show so many times that I'm sick of hearing myself say it. But Dave Meltzer is horrible, always has been for the wrestling business. And as outspoken as I've been about CM Punk, not because I believe certainly not because I believe anything Meltzer says. And quite frankly, I don't think Nick Hausman is the most stable human being I've ever come across either. I take nothing either one of them say really matters. Sometimes I find it entertaining and it makes me laugh. But neither one of them, I think, have any credibility in a situation like this. But I do believe that Meltzer is horrible for this industry. I think his behavior, his personality, the flaws in his character, we all have them. I've certainly had my own. But for whatever reason, Dave seems to thrive by spreading rumors and innuendo, lies, call them what you want, and usually does so in favor of people that he either has a relationship with or wants to have a relationship with. I didn't believe any of the nonsense that I heard out of Dave Meltzer with regard to CM Punk. I completely am open-minded to the fact that a lot of the tension that was created between whatever parties were having difficulties working together backstage in AEW, a lot of that was created by Dave Meltzer and the dipshits that feed him information. They were adding fuel to the fire. I firmly believe that. I actually don't. I think, I certainly lost respect for the way Punk handled it. There's a way to handle things like that. There's a way not to. And I have no respect. I ripped Punk a new one when he embarrassed Tony Khan in that press conference. I thought that was unforgivable, in my opinion. I can't imagine how anybody would hire someone who would do something like that, would hire them back, even if they were had a good cause. Just the wrong thing to do. And certainly throwing a tantrum, as is alleged, I wasn't there, like you,
right? And
getting into a physical confrontation right in front of your boss, in front of everybody else. First match of the card. That's it. There's no excuse for it. But I understand how it can happen when you've got a piece of just garbage like Dave Meltzer constantly stirring things up and presenting his side of what he thinks is going on, because he's not there either. Is that a toxic environment? Absolutely. But I experienced the same thing. It's one of the very reasons I'm as negative about Dave Meltzer as I am, and have been for the last actually 25 years, but only 5 years with you. And often you've said, look, you probably like Dave if you two would ever sit down and have dinner together and things like that. And I kind of doubt it, but man, he's toxic. He's just toxic. He's not honest. He's the worst. Well, and I don't know, man. I don't know how anybody that professes to love the business can spend whatever you have to spend a month to read this guy's garbage, because you're feeding cancer. I shouldn't have said that. I don't like using that analogy, but you're feeding a disease, and hopefully people will start recognizing that.
I don't believe that Dave Meltzer has ever intentionally lied. I just don't find him to be that type of person. Do I believe it's possible he's been misled? Absolutely.
On that note, ladies and gentlemen, we pose a question each and every single week with the question that everybody wants to know. What the hell is wrong with the AEW?
This has been What the Hell is Wrong with AEW.
Everything.
Fuck this shit, I'm out. Fuck this shit, I'm out. No thanks. Don't mind me, I'ma just grab my stuff and leave. Excuse me, please. Fuck this shit, I'm out. Nope. Fuck this shit, I'm out. Alright then. I don't know what the fuck just happened, but I don't really care. I'ma get the fuck up out of here. Fuck this shit, I'm out.
I love this portrait so much, we're gonna play it one more time. Hold up.
Fuck this shit, I'm out. Fuck this shit, I'm out. No thanks. Don't mind me, I'ma just grab my stuff and leave. Excuse me, please. Fuck this shit, I'm out. Nope. Fuck this shit, I'm out. Alright then. I don't know what the fuck just happened, but I don't really care. I'ma get the fuck up out of here. Fuck this shit, I'm out.
Alright, here we go. I want to thank y'all for checking out What the Hell's Wrong with AEW and hanging out with us for the entire show. As always, before we wrap up this week's edition of the Hoots Podcast, I did promise to give you a little preview of what's going to happen for the NFL this season. As I'm talking to you right now, it's third quarter here where the Chiefs are up 17-14 against the Detroit Lions, and it's week 1 of the NFL football season. Before I do my preview for the NFL, we need to crown a new winner of the CLAHN of the week. Let's check this out.
I'm not CLAHN. You're big on CLAHN.
Ladies and gentlemen, the CLAHN of the week for me this week goes to Brian Alvarez, a repeat offender here on the Hoots Podcast. I get it. You may not like Austin Theory's presentation as a character. That's not why you're the CLAHN of the week. It's just the way you talk with that fucking tone and your condescending attitude and you acting like you're the smartest person on God's green earth. And you, of all people, are going to say that Austin Theory won't work in today's wrestling style. You, my friend, need to shut the fuck up. That's what needs to happen, okay? So, Brian Alvarez, from me to you, you are the CLAHN of the week. Also, honorable mention goes out to Carlos Rodon for thinking that he was going to win the World Series with the Yankees. So, I want to give a shout out to my boy Mike Rubio for Main Event 4 for sending me that one as well. All right, let's talk a little football, shall we? I'm just gonna give out awards here. Maybe I could do a little football preview podcast later on this weekend. Keep your guys' eyes and ears open to the channel. That's why you have to subscribe so you don't miss anything. Who knows, man? I might record a longer extended edition preview podcast later on this weekend. You never know. But let's talk about this a little bit, okay? We had the Super Bowl this past February. The Super Bowl this February will be in Vegas. And I posed the question, who will we see in the Super Bowl this year? I believe it'll be the Cincinnati Bengals losing to the Philadelphia Eagles. And it pains me to say that. It really does. Everybody knows how I feel about Philly. Hashtag Philly is trash. That'll never change. But I believe the Eagles will beat the Bengals in the Super Bowl. Philly gets another Super Bowl. Yeah. That's my realistic pick. Let's go over my teams for the AFC and NFC. As we all know, we have 4 division winners and 3 wild card participants. Let's start off with the AFC, shall we? I believe the Chiefs will win the AFC West. I believe the I believe the Bengals will win the AFC North. I believe the Jacksonville Jaguars will win the South again. And then for the AFC East, I have the Buffalo Bills winning that division. Wild card teams: Baltimore, the New York Jets, and the Los Angeles Chargers. Those are my picks for the AFC. Make sure to write it down as I'm doing this. You keep me honest here. So, all right, NFC. Here's my picks for the divisions, okay? I have the Philadelphia Eagles obviously winning the NFC East. I have the Seattle Seahawks winning the NFC West. That's right, you heard me right. I believe the NFC West will go to the Seattle Seahawks. For the, NFC South, I'll give it to Brother Carter's New Orleans Saints. And for the NFC North, I'll give it to the Detroit Lions. Okay? Wild card teams: Dallas Cowboys. Oh, man. San Francisco. And no, I can't do it. You guys thought I was going to pick the Bears, right? No. The Giants will get in. I think, again, it'll be another 3-year, three-team deal for the East. They'll get the playoffs. So the Cowboys, Eagles, and Giants, I think, will make the playoffs again. So, recap, I have the Seahawks, Lions, Saints, and Lions, Seahawks, Eagles, and Saints. Those are my division winners. And then San Francisco, Cowboys, and Giants for the wild card. Those are my picks. So those are my playoff teams. The MVP this year will be Joe Burrow for the Cincinnati Bengals. My defensive player of the year for 2023 will be TJ Watt. Offensive player of the year, I'm going to give it to Justin Fields. Rookie of the year, that's going to be an interesting one. Rookie of the year for me, I think it's split between Tyree Wilson from the Raiders or Bijan Robinson with the Falcons. Those were 2 picks I really liked in the early parts of the draft that I wanted the Bears to get. So either Tyree Wilson for the defensive point of view and Bijan Robinson will be Rookie of the year for my opinion. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it. So Those are my picks for the football season. I have the Eagles beating the Bengals in the Super Bowl, and that's that. And on that note, we're going to put a ribbon on the bow for this week's edition of the Hoots Podcast as we're on the road to episode 400, 23 episodes away. So cool, man. Fun times as always. You can follow me on Twitter if you like at the Hoots Podcast. I'm at Joshie Lopez Media at Instagram. Also, you could check out my transcripts at WrestlingHeadlines.com. And if you ever have any questions, concerns, or any suggestions for the Hoots Podcast, let us know. Reach out to me at the Hoots Podcast at gmail.com. If you'd like to advertise for the Hoots Podcast, same thing goes there, the Hoots Podcast at gmail.com. Again, I wanted to mention, like I mentioned earlier, if you guys could send out a donation if you can to help out my sister and her situation. Her dog Bobo needs surgery really bad. So if you guys could help out in any way, it would really mean a lot to me, and I would deeply, deeply appreciate it. The information is here on the screen and also in the chat box in the description of this podcast this week. So I love you, Alex and Candace. Keep your head up, and Bobo, you would be my thoughts and prayers. So remember, folks, be the authentic product that is yourself. And remember, nobody dictates the pace of your life or yourself and the man upstairs. I'm Joshie. This has been episode 377 of the Hoots Podcast. Make sure to enjoy your football this weekend. I know I am. I'm excited for my Bears. I think the Bears will go 7-10 this year. A little slight upgrade from you can only go up from 3-14, right? But I believe my Bears will go 7-10. And as we all say in Chicago, the Bears, we stinks. All right, we're going to get out of here. This has been episode 377 of the Hoots Podcast. I'll talk to y'all next week. Yes, sir.